the reality is, I don't know why we weren't able to flip the messaging. I mean, it's the Republicans that have been packing the courts, right? I mean, it's the Republicans who've blocked all of Obama's nominees, who had Mitch McConnell rammed through judges. I was saddened to see Feinstein. As you may remember, I was one of the first to have called for a primary challenge, and and it was unfortunate that we didn't do much, but it's scary. I'll tell you, the fact is that they're going to be hearing cases, not just the Affordable Care Act, I mean, the census. They're actually hearing that case and thinking about not counting those who are undocumented in our country. So it is a very concerning time. One of the things I think we need is court reform, and I have a bill on term limits that I think could actually pass the Congress and get broad support. I mean, the Republicans always say, let's have term limits on Congress and Senate and the president. Why not have term limits on Supreme Court justices?
Yeah, who wield much more power as per capita.
Oh, absolutely. They do. You don't have to make me feel nice. They wield more power.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
In general, they're pronouncing on some of the biggest issues of our time. And what I've said is we are basically being governed often by a previous generation. You have people who've been appointed 30 years before who are now making rules. Have them there 18 years. They can be judges for life. No one's going to take away their prestige or their robe, and so you can have it constitutional. But you shouldn't have someone making laws 30, 40 years after they were appointed.
Right. Although even with the new ones, they don't have to be vintage to be terrible. Kavanaugh.
That's a good point. Some of the newer ones are actually more extreme.
Exactly.
We were saved in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you followed the decision, the stay. I mean, there were 4 dissenting opinions saying that basically wanting to take up the Pennsylvania Supreme Court case that is allowing ballots to be counted up to the day of if they're postmarked. And it was Roberts who actually voted with the liberal wing. Here's the challenge. Let's say Amy Coney Barrett is on that court. Could they take up that case? Because the stay doesn't have precedent. So someone brings that case after the election saying, let's not count any of these ballots that were received after the election day. And then you have basically Amy Coney Barrett possibly deciding what happens in the state of Pennsylvania. Wow.
We really got to delay that. What can we do?
I'm open to suggestions.
Yeah, some kind of creative. Now, what do you think? Do you think Trump will try to steal the election? And if so, what can be done about that?
Well, I agree with you that I think if the election were tomorrow, Biden wins decisively. My only concern is these types of strategies where if he takes it to the courts, it would be very hard to do if Biden wins Florida and Arizona, and if he's up on 4, 5, 6 states. But that's a hard thing to do. I mean, people forget that the margins in 2012 for Obama were 3 or 4 points in a lot of these swing states. So these races tighten, and if you have a situation where Biden is the clear winner, but he's up only 3, 4 points in Pennsylvania, and that depends on the absentee votes being counted properly, I could see Trump trying every litigation technique to prevent the counting of votes. And that, when people say, is there a 10, 20% risk of Donald Trump remaining? I think that is that risk, that he's going to use legal strategies to disenfranchise voters if enough of the battleground states are ambiguous.
I don't want to underestimate him and his telling the Proud Boys to stand down but stand by. I wonder if that's almost like the equivalent of his Twitter, where it's a distraction. I mean, he's at this point, he seems to have totally lost it, but that could be a distraction too. But if it's a distraction from the more above board, sleazy, but technically legal things that he would try to do, maybe everyone's going to be worried about violence breaking out, which we should be. But I wonder if that's going to be kind of a distraction from what he'll actually try to do.
I do. I think he's going to try every legal maneuver to disqualify states and disqualify ballots. I do think that, I think in 2016, he was a much better candidate. I disagreed with his message, but it was much more about the system is broken. Here's what I'm going to do for you. And it was terrible promises, but he was promising something. Now it's almost like he's running a grievance campaign. It's all he feels totally aggrieved. I don't know how you feel aggrieved after you've been a billionaire and president of the United States, but he feels like he's been dealt a raw hand in life. And he's basically running a campaign on all these conspiracy theories. I don't think I don't think it's going to work. It's shocking to me when you look at the polls. I don't understand why he has so much approval on the economy. A lot of people have been doing much worse, and the pandemic has been totally mismanaged. But that's the one place where he actually does fairly well. And anyone would say, okay, so why aren't you running on the economy as opposed to sort of disinformation campaigns about Hunter Biden? But it's almost like he's living in his own universe, determined to only speak to 40%.